Rutgers University has about 33,900 students, and while only some of them are over 21, it's no secret that many underage students break the law in exchange for a good time. We've seen it in the movies, underage college students doing keg stands, packing themselves into loud basements, and going wild for their first weekend of freedom.
This is the first time they're away from home, and it's almost a perfect storm for someone to really engage in at-risk behaviors. It's widely accepted. And because it's widely accepted, it's almost expected to indulge in it. It's everywhere.
But what happens when just a good time gets out of hand and these underage students are too afraid to call for help for fear of getting caught?
There was another tragedy at Rutgers University.
Sophomore Caitlin Kovacs died after attending a party at the Delta Kappa Epsilon fraternity.
It's heartbreaking for everyone.
Her death was alcohol related.
At 3 a.m., when she was finally sent to the hospital by her friends, Kovacs was pronounced dead. These tragic stories have been making headlines in the news for years. With an average of 1,825 American students dying of alcohol-related injuries every year, how many of these students would have gotten help sooner if the fear of repercussions did not hold them back from contacting authorities?
And whenever you're going to involve the authorities, there's a certain amount of trepidation and fear. And a lot of people, just for their own safety, they would think only of themselves and say, look, I don't want to have nothing to do with this.
What many students do not know is that there is actually a Good Samaritan law that protects underage drinkers from being charged with a crime if they need to call for help. But students in this situation wrestle with several decisions. Is this enough of an emergency? Is this worth the mandated counseling they'll need to attend? Is this worth the backlash they'll get from their friends? If these students were in a university where everyone was legally able to drink and no laws were being broken, would any of these choices have to be made? The idea has led to nationwide campaigning for the drinking age to be lowered from 21 to 18. Organizations like Choose Responsibility and the Amethyst Initiative are lobbying for the drinking age to be lowered. 136 university presidents have signed their name to this public statement, supporting the unimpeded debate on the consequences of current alcohol policies. Rutgers University President Robert Barchi has not joined the initiative, unlike Montclair State University President Susan Cole. The supporters believe that college creates an environment that makes it unrealistic to expect only students over 21 to drink. Most of this social drinking takes place in informal, unsupervised venues. Meanwhile, students over 21 are able to head legally to one of the many bars in New Brunswick.
So at college, maybe specifically Rutgers, it seems like the top dog of the social life is the bar scene. It's fun to go to house parties and wade through a murky basement. It's fun to go to the frat parties and deal with whatever they throw out in their living room. But people come to the bars because it is not only sanctioned for us to drink, but it is kept clean by the bouncers, it is kept neat by the bartenders. It seems to be the best way to do it.
Underage students are constantly trying to get into bars using fake IDs, but since bars like Old Queens are savvy at spotting them, students are forced to get their fix elsewhere.
More people would be dissuaded from going to the house parties, from the frat parties, and they would come to the bars where they have the eyes of the bouncer keeping them safe. They have the eyes of and the intuition of a bartender regulating the drinking flow. I think it would make for a more controlled drinking situation. In the long term, a more reformed drinking culture.
This utopia Alex describes exists in any of the dozens of countries where the legal drinking age is under 21, such as the United Kingdom.
Basically, we have 18 drinking rules, so everyone can drink when you're 18, and everyone basically drinks at bars and clubs. You tend to buy set drinks like beer or a certain quantity of alcohol. They won't sell you weird mixes. So whereas here you can go to a party and drink jungle juice and you don't have a clue what's in it. At all the bars it's very much clear and you know what you're drinking. I think the 18 drinking rule is much safer because everyone arrives at university at that age, and so everyone can drink in a safe environment. I think that's a much better option.
Not everyone supports a change in legislation. Organizations like SAD, Students Against Destructive Decisions, educates high school students in the dangers of substance abuse. In their eyes, there is no possible America where underage students can drink responsibly.
SAD does embrace an abstinence-only approach, recognizing that the legal drinking age is 21 throughout the United States, regardless of where you're residing or where you go to school. Some of the behaviors that SAD would be opposed to would be those that are commonly embraced as a harm reduction approach. If you're going to drink, drink responsibly. Designated driver programs or safe driver programs, that's the parents who provide alcoholic beverages and say, drink in my basement. It enables the drinking behavior, which is irresponsible and illegal for someone under the age of 21.
But in countries like England, parents are given the legal right to gradually introduce their children to alcohol.
Yeah, we also have a law so that when you're just 16, if you're in a restaurant or pub, you can have a beer or wine with your meal if you're with parents. And I think this is a really good idea because it gets people to learn about alcohol and like their limits, and it's much more responsible.
But back in the United States, there has been little progress in advancing legislation, and all underage drinking remains illegal. For rising college students, they often lack any sort of alcohol education.
They come here not good managers of themselves. Look, I don't care. Just pour me another one. As opposed to, oh, wow, I had 2 of these. It's time for me to leave this alone. If you haven't learned it in high school, how to manage these things, you're going to get caught up. We're not telling you not to drink, but you got to demonstrate that you got yourself in check before you're going to go ahead and take these risks.
In some high schools, organizations like REACH, Responsible Educated Adolescents Can Help, are doing just that, educating young students in the dangers of alcohol, while also teaching them how to handle the inevitable drinking situations they will face in college.
The earlier people are exposed with it, the earlier they'll learn how to manage themselves and drink responsibly. So I think it's a really good idea to know your limits before college, and so you don't do anything stupid while you're at school.
People talk about college, they think about going to parties and drinking, but I think that next year it's going to be really easy for me to fit in because I'm not going to overdo it or underdo it. I'm just going to know exactly how much I can handle.
I can now go into college confident that I'll make the correct decisions. I think that REACH is a club that everyone should try to be a part of, and I think it's been super beneficial to me so far, and I can't wait to see what it does for me in college too.
And at the college level, the university holds events that promote responsible drinking as a fun and social activity.
So we run a responsible drinking happy hour program once a month during the academic years. Try to run it every fourth Friday in the Livingston Student Center in the Rutgers zone. Those who are 21 years of age or older can have up to 3 drinks in a 3-hour period. I'm really trying to do some alcohol education and help students see that there is a safe way to do this and a socially acceptable way to do this. We had prohibition back in the early 1900s and it didn't go super well. I think the best way to teach is to model appropriate behaviors. We have a long way to go, and if there was an easy way to solve drinking issues and the behaviors that went along with it, I think we would have solved it a long time ago.
While there doesn't seem to be an end in sight for lowering the drinking age legally, there is hope for future generations of college students that they will be more educated. Whether the country will stop reading tragic headlines of another student death at the hands of alcohol remains to be seen.